like Seth has a Stoneforge Mystic that just put an equipment into play. A Vial just locked down. A Vial put in a Phyrexian Revoker that's locking down that GT that Seth put into play with Stoneforge Mystic. So Seth lands, he's got 2 Tundras and a Volcanic Island. For Phil, he plays a Plains. He's got a port that's going to shut down one of these lands. He also has a Caracas as well. And it looks like maybe a Source of Plowshares took care of that Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah.
It looks like it may be exiled here. Seth is a 2.
Oh, wow.
That's not a lot of life.
It is not a lot of life.
So this game's been going on for a little while, it seems. Yep, okay, that is gone, out of play. Seth is just going to pass the turn back. Vial will go active. Ooh. The Bluff Vial?
Yeah.
Right.
Might as well, you know.
You should, in theory, do it every time.
Right, because then they never know.
Yes.
They never know when it's coming for real.
But it is very rare that I actually ever see the Bluff Vial. I myself, as a Goblins player, rarely use the Bluff Vial.
I think it's
lazy.
really relevant in Death and Taxes when they have things like Thalia and Phyrexian Revoker.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are so many situations you can get into by like bluff filing where at some point they're just like, yeah, man, whatever. I know you're not putting anything in. And then they're just like, oh, Revoker named this. And they're like, I wanted to respond.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, buddy. You passed.
It's definitely good mechanics to do that. You saw Seth play a Volcanic Island after having it tapped down by Port. Again, we don't have a great look at what's in Gallagher's hand right now. Don't know if he has something to put in with Vial or not. Seth's trying to figure things out here as well. Does he have something to play? It looks like he does. He brings that card in his right hand. Now we got to shuffle it back in. It feels like a true name. And he's like a little bit scared to cast.
Yeah, just, you put the shields down. That Vial has, you know, I don't want to say anything because True Name takes care of a lot of things, but if it's like a Sarah Avenger type thing, then...
Vial's going up. Gallagher draws a card. Maybe we're looking for a Flicker Wisp here. Let's see what this is going to be. It's a Needle. That's probably timely. Yep, that's on GT again. So Gallagher will pass back over to Manfield. Tap down a Tundra with the Port. Seth will draw. Seth's going to take a look at the notepad there, make sure he knows exactly what's going on. There's a decent amount of cards in his hand. There's a Stoneforge Mystic hanging out over there. Looks like he's going to deploy that one now. He's got the Batter Skull in the grip already. He has a Bolt in his hand. Yep, so there is that.
Yeah, so now Seth's not in too bad of shape, right?
He's working his way out of it.
Yeah.
Nothing to search for.
But that's okay, because that means he already has the Batter Skull. He has Bolt at the ready.
Gonna activate the Vial. Nothing. Okay. Putting a little bit of fear into him.
Yeah.
Let's see what this 2 mana is gonna be used for. Stoneforge Mystic for Phil. That will resolve. Time to search. See what Gallagher wants to find. He's got a Batter Skull, sort of Fire and Ice, and Wings out his GT in his main deck. As far as equipment to search for.
I would suggest the one that is not currently Pithing Needled.
Good tip. Expert.
For those
analysis.
watching at home, yeah.
It feels like sort of Fire and Ice might be the best one here. Work your way past Tree and Nemesis on the ground. It's gonna be Batter Skull though. Okay.
Well, if you assume that Seth has the Batter Skull in his hand, then Sword of Fire and Ice is probably not the best one to get.
Okay.
Because the Germ is black, can just block it.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm not sure that Phil is going to be able to beat the combination of just Shrew Name plus Batter Skull.
Me neither, but at least if he has his own Batter Skull, then they can kind of start playing that game where both players go to 40 life or whatever. And see what happens, but Swords is going to slow him down a decent amount.
Yeah, it'll force Seth to likely have to actually just pay full price for the Batter Skull. He might be okay with doing that now. Again, I'm under the impression, Seth doesn't really want to cast this Lightning Bolt on Stoneforge Mystic because, the fear of like a Flicker Wisp coming out and then just killing him in the air is very scary.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, you would be able to save the Lightning Bolt for a flyer, but I think Seth knows he's going to have to cast that Batter Skull, and he probably has an assumption that Phil drew the Stoneforge Mystic that turn, right? Because he didn't cast it the turn previous.
Seth's going to go down to 2 now.
So I can totally understand him feeling safe this turn, that there is no Flicker Wisp incoming.
There's Volcanic. And I believe he's going to deploy the mighty living weapon that is Batter Skull. So that's going to come in. You got ourselves a living weapon trigger, and Germ Token will be placed over there.
Yeah, get BBD out there.
Give a little camera time. In for 3. Now that attack is kind of interesting / risky. Now there's no 3 that comes out. Now he's dead to Flicker Wisp no matter what, but if maybe that card was Mirren Crusader,
sure,
he would be dead where True Nemesis can kind of fight, and is that 3 damage really worth it? Tough to say.
Yeah, I think that Seth felt like Phil drew Stoneforge Mystic that turn and that he didn't have anything else going on before that.
Yeah, if that's the reader, he's got a good idea what the hand is, then, his play's perfectly fine.
I mean, yeah, he played carefully up until that point, right? But I feel like at that point specifically, he was like, okay, this attack is safe.
Yep. What else could my opponent have in their hand? Has he been sandbagging a 3 this long? Something like that, where, it is realistic for Gallagher to be stuck with a couple cards in his hand that he can't play, like a backup Caracas.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there is a decent amount of legendary cards in this deck, and Caracas is certainly one of them that he could have.
Port will take care of the Tundra. This is a Brainstorm. A good Magic card.
Average, as you called it yesterday.
I don't remember that.
I was there, man. We have it on video.
It's actually, we deleted it. I'm better friends with the directors than you, so it's gone.
Oh.
Sorry, buddy.
I don't know how that could possibly be true, but
I know they filmed a lot of your versus videos. But
yeah, I mean, if they just met you, I would understand. But like once they get to know you, it's like,
oh wow. I think I'm like a pretty nice guy.
I believe that you believe that.
So Seth will put a couple of cards back here with the Brainstorm. He is unable to move the GT over to the Tree Nemesis and put Gallagher in a pretty hard lock. So all he can do probably instead is just actually attack with the Batter Skull token. He's got to set one more back here, I think. It looks like both. Yep, there are 2 cards hanging out there, so he hasn't set one back yet, but he's also pretty unsure of himself right now.
Yeah.
Tough to say. Yeah, he's got a Stoneforge Mystic hanging out over there. As you can tell, Seth is a little bit unsure of himself on what to put back and how to move forward here. Skating on relatively thin ice, sitting at 2 life. But again, this deck isn't something that has any reach. You see the cards it looks like he wants to keep are Delver and Stoneforge. And the other cards look like Brainstorm and Stoneforge.
Yeah, I feel like you want to keep Stoneforge and a blue spell this turn. 2 Stoneforges doesn't help you that much. And, say it's Stoneforge Delver, that's great. You get to play 2 spells this turn. And if it's Stoneforge Brainstorm, you get to potentially have a shuffler to go with your Brainstorm.
Yeah. So here's an attack for 7. And more importantly for Seth, he's going to gain 4 life. So now he's up to 6.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of breathing room.
That is a Stoneforge Mystic.
And he knows that Phil's Batter Skull is going to come down next turn. And assuming he wants to find an answer to that, then having the Brainstorm is much better than having Delver, right? Because Delver is good, but it's mostly just a dude. And if you need to kill that Batter Skull, Delver's not really going to help you.
Yeah, I think the answer to that is finding a 6th land, because one of the lands will get ported. He finds a land so he can move the Batter Skull over to the Tree Nemesis.
Yeah, exactly.
And then life is pretty good.
So I could totally see an end of turn Brainstorm here coming from Seth, trying to find that 6th land. And if you don't find a 6th land, well, that probably means you found 3 spells, which is also probably going to be pretty good.
End of turn brainstorm is end of turn brainstorm is basically the same as
Upkeep Brainstorm, but
on the land that he taps.
yeah.
It's like I think there's no difference. I don't think.
Yeah, it's functionally the same thing, especially since you can't float mana into your draw step anymore.
Yeah.
But you see Phil tap his port, so maybe Seth wants to get a card deeper at this point. But even then, Phil could potentially name Batterskull here. Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought that's what he was going to do.
Yeah, and so now he can no longer equip on the true name or return it to his hand. So maybe they trade germs at this point, and then that's just it. Then the Batterskulls are just chilling in play.
Going to activate this right now. Put a Batterskull into play right now. There's a germ token. And pass the turn back.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think there's any real reason to fire off an end of turn Brainstorm. You can untap, draw a card, then cast Brainstorm, get a card deeper into your deck.
Get more information too.
Yeah.
I think that the situation has changed enough that he doesn't need to do it at the end of turn anymore.
Yep, I agree with that.
I'm still okay with casting it now though. Like,
Oh,
I still
me
think
too.
you want to Brainstorm. 2 and 3. Force of Will among the cards that Seth has found.
I believe I saw a Daze as well.
Not the best cards in the world right now.
Yeah, certainly not. If there's a fetch land among them, you know, that's fine. If not, Seth is almost certainly going to be drawing some not optimal cards for the next few turns.
See if Seth found something like Swords to Plowshares to get the Batterskull off the table and keep pushing in. Actually, probably just better off get the Revoker off the table.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think once you set up Batterskull equipped to True Name Nemesis, there's very little that Death and Taxes can do to that.
Seth's trying to figure out how he can get these last points of 11 damage done. Now, he is up a game here. You do see the clock there in the middle. About 6 minutes left, so if he does win, you know, he won game 1, and if they do end up tying or drawing this game, Seth will win the match, so. It is pretty important for Phil to actually try to get these last 6 points of damage dealt.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was close. He had Seth all the way down to 2 before he started climbing back, so.
Seth's gonna add a mana from the Tundra, it looks like. Feels like a Swords, yep.
Yeah.
Gonna go to the Germ token. All right, the bluff. I was like, man, Flicker Wrist would be interesting here. Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure what would happen.
yeah,
but
yeah. Looks like everybody might want in.
yeah, there's a little consideration to the clock still, you know. When you have 5 minutes or less left, maybe you don't want to be taking that 10 seconds to do a bluff.
Yep. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is what the attack is for. And oddly enough, the Revoker is kind of messing with Gallagher now.
Yeah, he would love to be able to pick up his Batterskull and replay it off the Stoneforge Mystic.
So we might actually see him block with the Revoker, which opens up Seth's Batterskull to move on a Tree Nemesis and put Gallagher into the super hard lock.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if that situation is better for Phil or not.
I think that's what he's trying to figure out right now. You can see the fingers kind of dancing. This might be a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah, I agree with that because even if you do block, you get to pick up and replay your Batterskull, but when Seth puts Batterskull on his true name, that's kind of Voltron, you know? You're pretty close to unbeatable at that point.
So Revoker is going to trade with Stoneforge. 7 damage is going to come through. So Gallagher is going to go down to 8. Revoker will bite the dust. Again, the needles on Jite. And Seth will pass the turn back, moves himself up to 10. But this game is slipping away from Gallagher now as he was able to get Manfield again down to 2, as you mentioned.
That's close.
That's close.
Not close enough.
They don't give you match wins for close.
That is true.
Dumb rule.
Right?
Look, you know the people there. Three mana. Caracas will come down, replace the old one. That is a ooh. Council's Judgment. Take a look-ski poo. That kills True Name Nemesis. That's what that does.
Sure does. And if that's the case, I mean, I think given enough time, Phil could put this game back on parity. I'm just not sure if he has enough time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he has enough time either. Seth has taken a long look at Council's Judgment. Wants to make sure he understands exactly what happens. Just starting with you, each player votes for a non-land permanent you don't control. Exile each permanent with the most votes or tied for most votes.
So you, as the person casting Council's Judgment, choose the permanent. Choose the permanent that you probably want to go away.
I select True Name Nemesis. What do you do?
So you're casting Council's Judgment,
yeah.
Select True Name Nemesis. Well, since it's only a 2-player game, I probably want to vote for the same thing you did. Otherwise, both my permanents are going to go away.
You don't want to vote for something else?
No.
I wouldn't vote for something else either. I would vote for True Name Nemesis as well. It's very clear that this is definitely the first time Seth has played against this card.
Yeah.
Maybe even seen this card. This is a card from a Commander product, so might not be familiar with how this works. Or Conspiracy, thank you. He might not be familiar with how this works at all. And if he picks the wrong thing, it would be no bueno.
Yeah, the voting ones are cards that you have to read a couple times to make sure you know how it works, especially something like this where it's like, okay, I'll vote for my Batterskull. And then Phil's like, aha, they're both dead.
Yeah. No!
What happened?
What do you mean they're both dead? Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I would call a judge too. That's what they're there for. Phil realizes this is his glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
Select a Batterskull.
No, Seth, what are you doing? Don't call a judge. Just read the card. You're a smart kid. You can figure it out. I trust you.
It works how you think it does. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. So Seth wants to make sure he knows exactly how it works, because if he picks the wrong thing, it could actually end up losing him the game. I know we're close to parity, but he could end up losing the game. Time of the round has been called. Again, you see these players with a little bit of extra time over on the clock because they were moved to the feature match area. So it looks like a little bit of frustration here for Seth. So maybe he named the wrong card. Again, when we know more of what's happening, we will let you guys know from our table spotter. And a small 2-minute extension here.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, the card is pretty simple, right? Like, once you get the hang of the mechanic, it's like, Phil casts it, it resolves, he names whatever he wants to kill. If you're Seth, you name the same thing, right?
Yeah. It's just, if you've never played against it before, if you didn't even know the card existed,
yeah,
you have to read
you're
it.
just like, wait, hold on.
If you read it out loud, it just seems like, oh, I pick something that of yours dies, you pick something of mine that dies. Sure, that's fine, but it's like, no, that's not how that works. So both the players will go back and forth here about this. But while they do that, we will talk about Star City Games Game Night really quickly.
Sure.
I know we'll get a ruling on this once everything is settled, but SCG Game Night is coming in September here, which is actually pretty exciting. You know, we'll have 2 pins, 8 foil tokens per week, new pins and foils each month, every Wednesday at participating stores. You can, of course, find out more information at starcitygames.com/game night. Again, September is right around the corner. We have our invitational next weekend, and September 1st is that Monday, which is Labor Day. I'll be flying.
That's right there.
I'll be flying back to Seattle on Labor Day. You'll probably be doing the same?
Doing the exact same thing, yeah.
We probably won't be on the same flight. It'd be sweet if we were, but we probably won't be, so.
I leave at 6 a.m. I don't know about you.
Oh, it looks like it's settled. Jite is gone, and True Nemesis is gone. So Seth has experienced firsthand exactly the will of the council. It's okay. He still has a Batterskull. He's all right.
And, you know, the needle's on Jite anyway,
Yeah.
so.
It's a first-hand learning experience. That's what that is. Here's an attack for 4. He's done that before. So he'll gain 4, and Phil will lose 4 life. And pass the turn back.
And I think now Seth has access to Force of Will off of his 5 mana.
Okay. Phil says, I need a good one. The best one Phil can probably draw is a land. So he can play, so he can pick up Batter Skull and replay it. He's going to equip.
Or equip and have the biggest creature on the battlefield.
Yeah, that works too. Bash you. But again, we might be heading into draw territory here.
Well, draw for this game, but not for the match, right?
Yeah, that's the big deal. Seth says, I'm going to block. And before damage, I'm going to pick up my guy so you don't gain any life. So turn 2, Seth will draw a card. Looks like he picked up a copy of Flooded Strand. And it looks like he's going to redeploy his Batter Skull. Germ Token will come in.
And that was the turn counter.
Yep. There's the turn counter again. We are on 2. There's a Flooded Strand past the turn back. So now turn number 3 is where we go. And Phil draw something nice. Just shove in instead. Seth will block. Phil will gain 4 up to 8. Seth will stay at 4. Actually, Seth will gain 4 as well. Excuse me. Phil will gain 5, go up to 9. Seth will gain 4, go up to 18. Now there's a Mother of Runes. So now we're going to go to turn 4 here in a second. But as long as, what we have is correct in the middle and Seth is up a game, we're not in game number 3. Seth is in no danger of actually losing the match, so
yeah,
it might just be a formality at this point.
It might seem strange for him to be like chump blocking with Batter Skull and doing things like that, but he's just trying to preserve his life total, make sure that he doesn't lose this game, and as long as that happens, he wins 1-0-1. 1-0-1.
Yep, so there is a Force of Will on a Daze. Force of Will removing a Daze to take care of the Mother Runes. This will be a port activation. It is turn number 4. He wants to shut down the Strand. So
Deal.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Not sacrificing that. Seth's going to play a Grim Lavamancer. So Phil on turn number 5. That die is moving.
Yeah.
One side over
it
here.
is going places.
Yeah, one side here, one side there. Seth trying to throw it off the table. That's the Source of Plowshares on that. Seth will gain a little bit of life. He'll take a little bit of damage here from the attack, and Phil will gain a little bit of life as well. But it looks like it's turn 5 of extra turns, and I think in a moment we will see a shaking of the hands from both players here. And it looks like Seth Manfield's going to go on to win this match, as this looks like the last turn of the game. Yeah, Seth's going to pick that up. I think that's going to do it. So when we do have a final result here on exactly what's going to happen, it looks like Seth is going to win the match. We will, of course, let you guys know, as there is a handshake. But this match is over between these two players, so we will bring it back to the booth here with Jerry and I. And that was an entertaining back and forth affair. Death and Taxes player Red Delver can take a little bit of time to get done.